Queries in Zoho CRM Part 2. So, welcome back. This is Part 2 of our deep dive into queries in Zoho CRM. If you joined us last time, thank you. And if you're new, no worries. Today's session will guide you through more advanced and practical ways to use queries to power your CRM. Now, as usual, let's begin with a story of the silent data. So Dave is a deal owner at Zilco. So he opens a high-value deal record in CRM and wonders, what's the latest ticket status? What's the customer's last payment? Which warehouse has this item in stock? Now, all this data exists. It exists in Zodesk, in books, in inventory tools, in external resources, but it's all scattered, hidden, and silent. So he had to switch between tabs, copy paste IDs, and hope he got it right. Not so appealing, right? That's where queries step in to give context instantly and visually. Now imagine if Dave didn't have to dig around at all. What if the CRM could pull just the right data from wherever it lives and show it right inside the deal record in CRM? So in part one of this series, we introduced how queries in Zoho CRM solve exactly this problem. So we explored what queries are, which are nothing but a way to bring real-time filtered data into your CRM UI from both inside and outside Zoho. We saw when to use them, where they show up, like Canvas, related lists, decision components of a kiosk, and how they can streamline workflows. Now that we've reconnected with the basics, uh, in today's session, we'll take a closer look at how you can actually build and fine-tune a query, from handling dynamic inputs with variables to transforming raw data using schema mapping. We'll walk through each step with real examples. And of course, we'll wrap up with a live demo and a Q&A. Now, let's start with a core idea, the query. So what is a query? So a query in Zoho CRM is like setting up a smart pipeline. So instead of showing your users an entire module, like every contact or every deal, you create a focused real-time data fetch. So you can consider a query as setting up a data fetch instruction. So now this query could pull data from CRM, an external resource, or even a Deluxe function. So it's your way of saying, give me just what I need and only when I need it. So this keeps the UI fast, the workflows smooth, and the users focused. Now, talking about the components of a query. So we did brush up on the query components in our previous session. Just for a little recap, we'll see what those are in this session as well. Now, first thing is defining your source. Now, what exactly is a source? Source is your data provider. So a source is where your data resides in, from which queries will fetch the data. So it could be a Zoho CRM module, or it could be an external system. So based on where your data resides, you choose your source. So if it's a CRM module, you choose the CRM module type as your source. Or if you're someone who is well versed with SQL syntax and you would like to use the same SQL like syntax in your queries, then you could go for the CRM COQL type, where you use the COQL or the CRM object query language, the query API, to fetch data from CRM modules. Or if your data resides, in an external application, then you could choose your source as a REST API. Coming to the type, so the type decides the return format. So do you want one value, one object, or a list of results? So now that we've established what a source and type is, let's move on to the filters. So filter logic is where you use variables to dynamically narrow down results. So for example, you want to fetch all the deals of a particular contact. So in that case, you use variable for the contact, and then every time the value is passed to that variable, the related contacts, the related deals are fetched for that contact. So filters is where your query logic resides in. The final part is testing, previewing, and testing your query. So the preview tab gives you, the opportunity to test your query with a sample input. Make sure it returns exactly what's needed. It also, allows you to save and reuse the query across CRM components. Now, variables. So I told that queries are very dynamic. So what makes queries dynamic? Variables. what exactly are variables? So variables are dynamic placeholders that are used inside queries. So let's take the case of fetching all the deals of a particular contact. In this case, you can put a variable for the contact ID. So for every contact that is passed to the variable, the related deals are fetched. So variables are nothing but placeholders that pass dynamic values at runtime to the query. So I'm sorry. So let's say when a CRM user opens a record, these variables are instantly replaced with actual field values from that record. So instead of hard coding filters, you can create a single smart query that behaves differently depending on where it is used. So variables work beautifully inside filters, but also inside API URLs and even the input of deluge functions. So here I have an image of a query of the CRM module type. So in this query, I am trying to get the deals of a particular contact. So here in my criteria, I'm passing the contact ID. So I have given this as a variable. So whenever the query runs, the particular contact's ID is passed and then the related deals are fetched. So using variables, you can build reusable context-aware queries that scale cleanly across your CRM. So like I said, where can you use variables? You can use them inside query filters. You can use them in REST API endpoints. You can use them in the header or body parameters for external APIs. You can also use them inside deluge functions that accept dynamic input. Now, some of the use cases of using variables are fetching tickets for a particular contact by its email from desk. So here, when you give the contact's email ID, the related ticket details from desk could be fetched using a query. Another use case would be finding or filtering the deliverable post offices by the shipping code. So here you pass the shipping code value to the query, where shipping code is the variable. And then another use case would be pulling invoices for the current account, where you pass the account's ID as a variable to the query. To serialization. What is serialization? By definition, the process of converting complex data from an API into a structured format that CRM can display is serialization. So you can think of serialization as your translator. So it takes raw data and turns it into something that CRM can actually use. So let's say you have, you hit a postal API and it returns 5 levels of nested JSON, like street, region, delivery, zone, ID. Now, Zoho CRM cannot understand that directly, especially when you want to use it in a canvas list or a custom related list. So what do? You serialize the data, you flatten it, you map the required keys, and shape it into a format that CRM can render easily. So think of it as building a clean CRM-friendly response. So why do you need serialization? Like I said, external APIs may return raw, nested, or unstructured JSON, which CRM may not be able to understand. So you have to serialize the response in a way that CRM can accept and process that response. And CRM UI components like Canvas related lists expect a specific structure, like it could be a flat list or an object with defined labels. So in that case, you can use serialization to mold the response of the query to fit into CRM's context. So you can use serialization to flatten nested JSON. You can rename or map keys. You can also combine or split data into usable forms. So how do you achieve serialization? It's just a piece of JavaScript code. So this is a sample image that shows the output of a query before and after serialization. Now this is the raw response of the query, which returns a lot of fields from the, could be a record or anything. So whereas a serialized response has only those fields that will make sense to the user. For example, if I want to associate this query with a canvas, then it doesn't make sense for the users to see all the fields here. It only makes sense for them to see the fields that that are relevant to them. So in that case, serialization would be your answer. So this is a sample where we've used serialization to flatten the output and show only the required fields in the response. Coming to schema. So once the data is serialized, the next question is, how do we teach CRM what it means? So that's when schema management comes in. So basically, with the schema, you're telling CRM what fields will be returned, what data type they are, and how they should be labeled in the UI. For example, if there's a field, you tell CRM if it's a string, it's a date. If it's a label, then this is what the user should see as a label. So without a schema, the UI components won't know how to format or even display the response. So schema also helps you maintain consistency. So the same API output will always render predictably inside Canvas, kiosk, or related lists. So this is the image that shows the schema of a query. So a query would have all these fields in its response, and we have the corresponding CRM field type. You are free to edit this field type to suit your business needs, and this label is what we'll see in the UI component. Could be a custom related list, it could be Canvas, or it could be some components of kiosk. So you can also edit these labels so that the query or the UI component makes more sense to you. Now, the hero of the show. Let's start with a demo. So the use case that I've chosen today is the delivery hub, which we discussed in the previous session as well. So the use case here is that I have a custom module called orders. This has a related list deliverable post offices. So whenever the shipping code in any of these records in this module is filled, this related list with the list of post offices that deliver to that shipping code should be automatically populated. Now, what happens in the background is that I have to write a CRM query. So, custom related lists can be powered by queries. So, I'm writing a CRM query. Now, because I'm going to be using an external API to, give me the postal address or the postal office's details, I am going to be choosing the REST API type as my query. So my source is going to be a REST API. So because I'm going to be using a REST API, it essentially means queries will make API calls to that domain. So I have to add that domain to trusted domain so that it is not blocked by parse. So let me just explain and show this view. So queries you can find under setup, developer hub, and queries. So before I add, create a query, I have to add the domain to trusted domain. So I'm going to be using the India Post API here. So I have already added it to the trusted domain. So this is the domain. So this is the domain to which Zoho CRM queries will make API calls to fetch data from this source. So once this is done, I come to Developer Hub queries. Now, I know that I have added this external source, external API as to trusted domain. Now, this has to be my source of the query. So I come to sources and then I add a source. So when I add a source, you can see that I have the name and I have to give the base URL here. So in case your external API uses parameters or headers, you can very well give them here. So this is going to be the base URL for my use case today. Now, trusted domain is done. I have added the external API as the source here. Coming to query. So when you click add query, you can see that the source has to be the source that I just added. So it has to be the India Post API, the India Post domain. So I have added that as a source. I have given a name. The API name is auto-populated. And then the endpoint is what I had given in my source. Now, for every, the resource that I'm going to be accessing for this API is the mailing zip. So for every pin code that I enter, it has to give me the list of deliverable post offices. So because the shipping code is going to be different for every order, I need it to be dynamic. So I have made this into a variable. So that done, I have the mailing zip as a variable to the query. Coming to serializer. Okay, so I have the serializer code already here. So let's see what happens or what response the query returns when I don't serialize. So the result of the query is available in the result object. So when I preview the response, I'm entering the mailing zip, the value to the variable here when I have to execute the query. If you see, I have about 21 post offices here in that shipping code that I gave to the query. So here, when you see, I have the details of the different post offices in that shipping code. We have the name, description, branch type, and we have something called the delivery status. So in a particular pin code, there are post offices that deliver, and there are also those that do not deliver. Now, when I actually am processing an order, I want to be able to see only those post offices that actually deliver. So only that makes sense to my use case. So here, as you can see, we have one here that has the delivery status as delivery. So I have to filter this response. This is the raw response of the query. Now I have to filter this so that I get only the post offices with the delivery status as delivery. So this is where I use the serializer. So when you see this piece of JavaScript code, here, I have filtered the results based on the delivery status. So for every delivery status, if the value is delivery, then I am returning the filtered response. So let's try this. So for the same response, for the same shipping code, you can see that the raw response is still the same. It returns all the 21 post offices, whereas the serialized response has only the one that actually delivers to this pin code. So I have serialized it to include only the name and delivery status because I don't need any other detail about the post office here. So this is how you can leverage serializer in your query. Now I have added it to trusted domain. I have added a source. I have created a query and I have used a variable and I have serialized my response. So that said, click next. Again, the query is about to execute, so it's asking for the value of the variable. So when you see this, you can see that the query runs, the query works, and then we also have the serialized response as expected. When you click next, you see the schema here. Now, schema is directly related to the serialized output. So because I serialized my output to include only the name and delivery status, you can see these two fields in the schema, whereas every other field is part of the result table. So this is the CRM field type. So schema is essentially mapping the response or the serialized response of your query with the CRM field type. So a name is a single line field. Again, delivery status is a single line field. So I'm going to let them be. Again, the label, you can change this to any name that makes more sense to you or the ones that suit your business case. So this is done. So my query is saved. Now my aim is to add this query to a related list. So this is my orders module where I have a list of records. So when you see, okay, so my aim is to have a related list that gets auto-populated by the query whenever a shipping code is entered. So when you want to add a related list, click here, add related list, and you can see that from the list we have queries. So when you click queries, you have a list of queries that you have created, and Delivery Hub is the one that we want to power our related list. So this is going to be the related list name, and we have to have a map the variable with the field in the module. So using merge fields hash the orders module, and then I'm choosing the shipping code field. So whenever a value is entered in this shipping code field, this value is passed to the variable of the query. So click done, click save, and you have the related list here. So as you can see, the related list is populated because the query runs. Let's just see if the query populates properly when I create an order. So contact name, Patricia, order name, I'll go for ENT instruments, product category, ENT instruments, choose the ethmoid forceps, quantity, price, the amount is auto-populated, and then the shipping code. So here, I'm choosing the shipping code and I'm saving. So every time I save a record or edit a record, the query runs and the related list is populated here. Because I've serialized the response, I have only these two fields in my related list.
Now let's talk about another use case. Another my use case is I have an integration between Zoho CRM and Zoho Desk. So all my ticket details are captured in Zoho Desk. Now my use case is I don't have to go to Zoho Desk every time I want to fetch the most recent ticket of a contact. So let's say I have contacts module, and then for every contact, whenever a ticket is created, I want to be able to see exactly that in the contact itself. So this is the default list view that you see. Now I'm going to create a canvas that is powered by queries, and it will display along with the details of the contact. It will also display the details of the most recent ticket created in Desk. So for this, let's create our query first. So here I have the Zoho Desk Tickets query. So because this still is going to be an external API, I have to first add it to my trusted domain. So I have the details of Zoho Desk here. This is the domain of Zoho Desk. So once that is done, I have to add it to the source. Queries, source, and then I have the details of the source here. So this is the base URL. And then because I have an integration between Zoho CRM and Zoho Desk, I have chosen the required connection here. So once that is done, we can start creating our query. So again, because this is going to use an external API, I have chosen the source that I created. And then again, the same drill. I have the name, and then the API name is automatically populated. And the resource that I'm going to access is tickets.search. So I'm going to be the searching for tickets pertaining to a particular contact. So this API takes the parameter email, and the value is a variable. So for this, I am going to pass the email ID of a contact every time the query runs. So this is a variable.
So this is a very straightforward API. So I've not serialized the response. So when you click next, we have to give the contact's email. Let me just see. Okay, Patricia has. I'll copy this email address. Save. So when you see, we have the response here. So Patricia, the contact that I passed to the query has one ticket in desk. So because I have not serialized the response, the raw response and the serialized response are the same. So this is the schema of the query. So the desk actually returns all these details, and the CRM field type are automatically mapped here. So if there is any change, you can always modify the CRM field types for every field, and then we have the label. So I don't have to change anything here. So I'm just saving the query. And then coming to canvas. So I want to associate this query with a list view canvas. So here I have created a canvas. So I'm creating a new list view page for the contacts module, and I'm choosing the custom list type. So when I click create, I have to select a template for my canvas list view. So I have randomly chosen a template here. So once that is done, you have all the fields here for the module and the related modules. And then we have all the different components of the canvas here. So when you see this here, we have the queries. So when you click associate query, you give a name and you choose the source. So this is going to be the Zoho Desk REST API, and then you choose the query. So because the query uses variable, I am going to pass the email of the contact to this variable. So under result mapping, this is to ensure that there is a common data point between the module for which we are creating the canvas and the selected query. So the source field will be, of course, the email field, and then the query response path. This will be from your schema. So contact email. So I click done. So when you see this, these are the fields available in the response of the query. So you can choose whatever you want, and it's a simple drag and drop interface. So I have this canvas already in place. So I have here the subject, status, channel, and priority. So these are the details that I want on my list view canvas for the particular contact. So once this is done, we save our canvas. Sorry. So when you come to contacts, this is the default list view that you see. So we move to the custom list view because that's what I created my canvas in. So when you see this, we have the necessary fields from the query. So let's see if this is populated in real time. So for this contact, I'm going to create a new ticket in desk. So this is my tickets module in desk. And then for this email, I'm going to be creating a ticket. So it's an issue fix. Priority is high. Channel is email. And then submit. So when I do this, the ticket is created in desk. Let's see if it is populated here. So you can see that the data is pulled from Zoho desk. So every time I refresh the page, so the query runs, and then for the email is passed at runtime to the query, and then the corresponding details, ticket details are retrieved from desk. So this is how you can use queries in Canvas. Similarly, you can also use queries in Canvas record detail page as well. Now, many times we have functions that are enabled as REST APIs. So we can use even functions enabled as REST APIs as a source in our query. So here I have, let me show you a function. Here I have, so because it's a REST API enabled function, again, I have to add it to the source. So this is the base URL, and then this function doesn't have any default parameters or headers, so these are empty. So I have added this to the source, and when I So this is a simple get records function that uses the get records integration task. So this integration task essentially gets all the records from the employees module. So here I have used the CRM API response object to construct the response of the function. So here, along with the response of the get records integration task, I'm also adding the status code body to the response here. So every time the function runs, I get these details in my response. So I have enabled this function as, OAuth. I have enabled the REST API for this function. So when you see, I have the API key and I also have the OAuth 2 URLs here. So when I create a query, so I have my source, which I added with the domain www.zohoapis.com. And then I have the name and the API name. And then in my endpoint, I have to add this one here. So the API, the URL from the API key URL. So I have added that here. And then this takes the parameters auth type and ZAPI key. So I have added them as parameters here. Now, again, I have serialized the response because get records returns all the fields of the module for every record. So I have serialized the response here to include only name, email, and position. So when you preview this, so this is the result of the function. So this is the get records response. And then function executed successfully, and the message is what I've added in my function using the CRM API response object. Now, because I've serialized the response, I have the serialized response here with only name, email, and position. So my query is done. When the query executes, we have the raw response and the serialized response here. And then we have the schema of the query here. So when you use serializer, only those fields that are there in the serializer will be part of the schema, or everything else will be encapsulated in result. So I'm saving my query here. And then I want to, associate this with a canvas list view again. So I have a canvas here for the employees module. So let's just go to the employees module. So this is the default list view that you see. So when I associate this to a canvas, I'll probably open this. So this is the canvas. Where I have associated the query. So you can see that the get employees query is here, and I have the different fields from the schema here. So when you click here, you can see the response path. So this is the path from your schema in your query. So I have all the necessary fields here from the query. So once that is done, and I click custom list view, you can see that I have only the fields that I want to see on my canvas at a glance.
So this is one example of how you can leverage CRM API response object in your function, and then use the function itself as a source of your query. So this just makes the possibilities of using queries endless. So when you have a function, you can definitely use it, make it a REST API, and then you can use it as a source of your query. So we are done with the demo of Delivery Hub. A few tips when you're using queries: always test with sample records, which many of you already know. You can use variable fallbacks to test the stability of the query. It is always recommended to keep the schemas simple and flat. You can also cache results for performance if needed. So these are the Kaizen posts that we have done in the past related to queries. So we have about 6 of them. One talks about how you can handle query variables. One talks about serialization and schema management. The other one talks about CRM API response object in queries, essentially using a REST API enabled function as a source. And we've also talked about optimizing the use of record ID variables in Zoho CRM queries. We've talked about how you can use queries in Canvas list view, how you can use queries in custom related lists, for which we also saw the demo today. So this brings us to the end of the presentation.